don't strike on the bone. We don't strike on bony areas. When striking on bony areas, you bruise and you leave the potential for breaks. We don't want to do that. Can I have you? No, no. Small, simple, compact oak. White oak in specifics. What we like to do is warm the area up. Warming the area up because even if you like cold showers, nobody turns it straight to ice cold. As you warm up, you limit the availability of bruising. As you limit the availability of bruising, you allow for the different senses to be heightened. You allow for different implements. You allow for different, you can use anything at that point. Imagine, imagine clapping your hands for about 30 seconds and then scratching the palm of your hand. To some, it might tickle. To some, it might send a shock up your arm. In any event, you never want to. That's how you end up on the 7 o'clock news. What we don't want to do, we don't want to strike on the bony areas. We don't want to strike on the joints. We want the fat. We want the fat. Going from 0 to 3. It's the wrist. It's the wrist and proper hand formation in the wrist. Flogger, cat o' nine tails. It's usually made from strips of leather attached to a handle. Proper balance, if it's constructed correctly, you're supposed to have an availability to balance. Mine isn't the most balanced, but it's supposed to have a balance from the head to the tail. It's best to go in figure eights. Always remembering to avoid the bones, avoid the joints. Always. With practice, we can aim. We can aim. We can aim. As I stated earlier, some require a little more. Always remember to take breaks, stop, wellness checks along the way. It's the greatest thing ever. To not do it makes you an asshole. You are not simping, you are not ruining the scene by making sure that your sub is okay. The worst thing you can do is to simply say that I don't care about your wellness while you're being this vulnerable with me. You can't do that. Doing so creates a trauma. And some of us have trauma responses to abuse and things of that nature, so we have to be very careful. Going back to one of the original points, this is a therapy for some. And in recognizing that you are a practitioner, whether licensed or not, you have to dictate safety for yourself as well as your client. I guess that's the best way that you can say it. I've been in situations in which I didn't practice safety, and I found myself having to score up with somebody versus, I'm sorry, I went, you know what I mean? It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And a little compassion goes, it just simply goes a long way. Excuse me. How are we doing over there? Even with, even with our distance from each other, even with the proximity, I still have to check and make sure that he is okay because things change in an instant. We're talking about human beings that are being bound. You know what I mean? And we are not necessarily designed for that. So to ensure that he receives proper care as well, I have to make sure that he's okay. One of the hardest things is while maintaining a dominant space in the scene is you can't really enjoy it the way that you want to enjoy it because you have a responsibility to everyone else in the room. You have to make sure that everyone is safe, sane, and consensual, which it ties into some of the bullet points in Onyx. We call it the 3 E's. We educate, empower, and explore. We educate, we teach. We teach proper technique. We teach proper space. We teach the physical wellness, the mental wellness in association. We empower because everybody simply just can't say, hey, I like this. I want to practice this. I'm comfortable with this. It's just not something that everyone accepts. And that's okay. We all have our differences. We all have our availabilities. We explore. There were things that I wasn't comfortable with before joining Onyx. One of the biggest things is wearing of sexy underwear. Just wasn't my thing. I wasn't comfortable with having my balls out wearing jock straps and stuff like that. But it got to a place to where I enjoyed how it made me feel. I enjoyed how I looked in it. And it didn't matter what anybody else's opinion of it was. I liked it. And then it's a little icing on the cake that other people like how I looked in it too. So, and it happens. Excuse me, it is very warm in the venue. Yes, we explore. We find spaces. You have a realization that you may have not known about something yesterday, and you learn about it tomorrow, and it's the biggest thing ever. I've learned that there isn't any one particular activity that one can say is too much or isn't. Some people like all types of things. I guess the most common one we talk about is we have foot fetishes. We have people that enjoy bondage. We have people that enjoy spanking. We have people that simply enjoy watching others engage. We have people that simply enjoy being watched in their engagement, and that's fine. What we do in Onyx is we allow people to find their space, enjoy their space, and grow in their space. Because what happens is there are so many gatekeepers, especially in our community, that simply don't allow people to flourish in their own truth. They feel that a simple normacy, no matter what you have to go home to, their normal should be your lifestyle, and that just doesn't work. We have those of us that enjoy wearing some of the kinkiest of wear, and we have some of those that are comfortable with simple jeans and boots, and that's okay. We're an organization that's open to both gay and bisexual men of color in the Midwestern area. That's the Illinois and the surrounding states. I'm I'm sorry. This is my first time doing this kind of live in a living color, and thank you. And I just want to, I guess unrelated but related, I want to talk about what Onyx has done for me as an individual. For the longest of times, I didn't have the availability to trust men, especially black men, because of the men in my family, the men I grew up with, not necessarily being of a certain height, of a certain athletic prowess, et cetera, et cetera. And that's neither here nor there. I found a space, and what this space allowed me to do was to find people of like-minded individuals that came from where I came from. Initially, when you think of gay men in Chicago, you think of Lakeview, you think of Boys Town. You don't think that some of us enjoy Some of us enjoy King Von, and even though we're not from 63rd, it is what it is. And it's just, we're so Chicago. Some of us enjoy sports, and when you think of gaming, everybody doesn't enjoy RuPaul, and there's nothing wrong with RuPaul, but, our thing is we like music, we like to dance, we like the footwork, we like garros, we like, pizza puffs, but we still are who we are. And that's okay. And what I learned from Onyx is I can still be me. I can still enjoy doing hood rat shit with my homies and at the same time go and listen to the Philharmonic. And that's cool because I don't have to be caught up in one particular corner. I can just simply be me. I don't have to be no hood cat. I don't have to be no athlete. I don't have to be this. I don't have to be no hustler. I can just simply be me. And to have an availability to just simply express and breathe. You know what I mean? That shit feels so good. And I think I'm going into like my 8th year, and I've had an availability to teach both classes and abroad, and Onyx provided that opportunity because it's just stuff that I simply didn't know about. Because I thought initially it's just that weird white people shit, and it's not. It's so much of us that's into it, but when you start to put titles on things without explanation, it sounds super foreign. But when you simply say, hey, get over here. That's sensual to some, that's a little rough for others, and for my baby right here, something else. And that's the beauty of Onyx. I didn't have this availability before, and that shit feels good. And so to come out and be in this space and be like, hey, these are my people, you know what I'm saying? And I can teach and I can share this. And believe it or not, it provided a strength to be open in my personal relationships. To say, hey, I'm with this. I'm not with that, but I'm with this. And they like, yeah? So it taught me the true value of integrity, the true value of honesty within your household and your relationships. True loyalty to a cause that's bigger than yourself. We not only provide really nice demos and sexual shit, but we do fundraisers. We out here in the community, it's not just about sex. And I think the availability for sex in our community is sex is the most common thing. All of us do it in some capacity. It's probably the easiest, most hardest thing to talk about. It's one of the things that we get judged off, although we should. So if this thing encompasses so much, why can't we use it as a conduit for the community? And that's what Onyx does.
That's what's up. So I'm wondering if we have any brave souls who have a question in the audience. Who's got a question about fetish? You don't have to be on TV to ask it. You got a question? I got a question right here. Got a question. Who's got a question?
If you're curious about, like joining Onyx or experimenting and learning some of this, how do you go about that?
Us on most social media on Onyx Midwest. Also, at the end of our showing, you can speak with legendary Onyx, who is the head of our membership.
Right. Any more questions? Who wants to know about kink, fetish? Maybe there's something we left out. Hello. You have a question? Question that often comes up. Sometimes they say, well, what if my partner's into a certain kink and I'm not into that? Is somebody gonna like tie me up consent? Or is that how that works?
Safe, sane, and consensual are one of the backbones of the community. Safe, right mind with the permission of everyone involved. That's the ideology. You cannot simply just walk up, even mid-scene. That because of a sex-positive space, people assume that everybody within the sex-positive space are practicing in an open availability as if we all just have you have to be so vulnerable that when you're in a space of vulnerability and someone out the blue just comes up and touches you, it's just not cool. We have a practice of things that we do in spaces such as cell block, in spaces such as jackhammer, where these things are okay. That's not okay at 69th Street on the red line. And that's just it. You just have to ask. And that's, and that's fine. Open your mouth and ask. Because you would rather ask for permission than ask for forgiveness.
Uh-huh. And so we're wrapping up our time. Could you tell us, how does this end? How do we do aftercare? What does it look like to take care of your dom or your sub after a scene?
In reference to impact play, my preferred methods of aftercare start with massages, and the massages cater to they cater to the area in which I struck. And what that allows me to do is I get to feel for bruising, as well as make sure all appendages still are okay. I want to make sure that, come up, stretch your arms out, wiggle your fingers, wiggle, 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 thumbs up, give me two, 3, 4, 5, come on, spirit fingers, baby, spirit fingers. We all good. And what we just did was a brief but very, very accurate muscle reading in which we wanted to ensure that he's not in any pain, he doesn't have any locks, any blocks or everything, and everything is A-okay. How you feeling? And of course, we thank them for their trust, for their vulnerability, and we give them a nice smack on the ass to say, I love you. Aftercare for bondage, what we want to start doing is ever so carefully to prevent rope burns. Bring the rope in the reverse direction that you did it. And what you want to do is you want to slowly slide the rope over your hand in between, but so that you don't burn, because rope burn does not feel good to everyone. Sit up, please. Similar to the aftercare of the impact play, what we want to do is we want to start to massage to allow the blood flow to start going back, because we don't want to shock his body. Sometimes when we are restricted, the numbness does come because the blood flow is slowed down. Although our particular practices don't allow for the blood flow to be too tight, similar to a tourniquet. What we're doing, we're massaging to ensure that the blood flow is going. And now we're going to check for appendages. Certain things that you look for, veins. If the veins are too high, that means if the veins are protruding, that means that the blood flow isn't where you want it to be. So that means you need to loosen it up. Thumbs up. Peace sign. Give me a peace sign. Okay. want to ensure that he's properly stretched because we don't want him to fall and be off on his feet. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. And again, if you didn't hear the first 5, hydrate. It is necessary. You go through so much. You sweat, your heart rate, it goes up, it goes down. We don't yuck anyone's yum. Don't yuck anyone's yum essentially means you don't have to like it, but I do. If it's not for you, move. Do not ruin it because you don't like it. If I like it and you don't, again, move. And what that does is it allows for a respect across the spectrum. It allows for everyone to come in because simply put, you don't have to like everything that I like. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to like me as a person, nor are you, but we must respect each other. And as long as we do that, the world becomes a better place. There is so much more that we can show you, but we're kind of short on time. In any event, please don't hesitate. Onyx Midwest on any and every social media platform. And after he comes back too, please reach out to Legendary Onyx. He is our membership chair. Thank you.
For Onyx Midwest coming on out. We are here at Pride 2023. More, just hop on that internet, look Onyx Midwest. We will also follow up. This has been a live stream of Toy With Me, available on Project Vita's website. What's happening all day here? We have all kinds of things happening under this tent. And around this tent, we've got massages. There are cupping massages happening. There are dance lessons happening. Somebody just tied them up, and then the scene cuts, and you go away. But there's always aftercare. There's always ways that we take care of each other whenever we're playing together. That's one of the things that I love about the King Health and Wellness Collective. We at Project Vita, we at Link Up Chicago, want to empower you to have the best sex life, the healthiest sex life that you can possibly have. So the guys are going to hang around for a bit. You can get to meet them, find out about the next bar night, find out about how you can be down. Maybe there's a kink or a fetish you haven't tried yet. Maybe you can find out. But we thank you so much for joining us. This has been another live broadcast of Toy With Me in partnership.